Hello and welcome to At the Redline Podcast. My name is Alec Gonzalez. I have Jaden Dunovvent, which is a French word. I'm sure I got that wrong, but it works like that.
Closer than most.
Jaden is a business specialist, helps businesses with marketing and advertising and social media and stuff like that. We'll talk about that later, but I always like to sort of start with your family of origin, childhood stuff. Where were you born? Where were you raised? What was your family like? How many siblings? That kind of stuff.
Right. Yeah. Without going, too far back, my early childhood was pretty good. We had everything we needed. Nothing to really speak on there. I played a lot of sports, and later, if you want to get into that, I can talk a little bit about how I think that kind of shapes the way I do business now. But yeah, when I was 17, this was probably the first life-changing event, if you will. I left my parents' house when I was 17. Excuse me. I left my parents' house when I was 17. And with no plan at all. So I left, went to stay with a friend, not really thinking about the future, kind of just living in the moment as 17-year-olds do, and ended up couch surfing and staying with a few different friends, and the friends that I had made when I was younger, their lives were all like rather cookie cutter, I guess. And so when one of your friends is like having to couch surf and things like that, it's not the greatest look. So yeah.
Did you stay in high school through that time?
Yeah, I finished high school early. So
But you weren't living at home. You were living at friends' houses.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So I went through high school all the way in my senior year. Got pretty good grades, decent grades. But I was all over the place, and I don't use this as an excuse, but I've been diagnosed with ADHD.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine. I learned to use it to my advantage now.
Yeah. I just saw a YouTube video on the benefits.
Yeah.
It's pretty
there
funny.
Are.
Yeah, that's
sure.
Cool.
So yeah, I was in high school and I had trouble focusing, and I got into it with a bunch of teachers, and eventually I got to senior year and I was like, we got to try something new. Or I didn't say that, my teachers were saying that. And so about 6 months before the end of senior year, I switched to online school.
Oh, okay.
And I finished high school 4 months early. And as soon as that happened, it was off to the races pretty much. And
yeah.
I was, my parents are pretty traditional. So they're kind of closed off. We either hang out.
Traditional, you're talking in code for me, Jaden. What do you mean by that?
Like, if you're not, I notice a lot of kids these days they go out, they hang out with friends every night. They do a lot of these things, just in my experience. And when I was a kid, I either played sports after school or I was home. So I didn't hang out with a lot of friends. I didn't really do a whole lot besides sports or hanging out with family or things like that. So by the time I was 17, I craved like freedom, and I wanted to get out of the house and do my own thing,
Yeah.
Okay.
So
yeah, when I was 17, finished high school 4 months early, left the house, stayed on friends' couches let me try that again. Stayed on some friends' couches. They found that different, so ended up, cutting ties with a few of those friends, and making some new friends. So by the time I was 18, I had some questionable friends, and made some questionable choices, and ended up for the next 4 years in a pretty dark spot in my life. And only recently found like gratitude for that whole experience and everything. And like I wouldn't change any part of that period of time in my life.
Funny. Can you talk about it? I mean, can you tell us what was going
on? Yeah. So when I left my parents' house, it started off all right. And, I still had those friends that I had made when I was a kid. And so I was staying on their couch or staying in a spare bedroom or, things like that. I ended up getting a job pretty quick. Things were pretty good. But as I started losing those friends and making new ones, I slowly started to get offered marijuana and alcohol and, things of that nature. And just being a curious kid, I followed that path and, ended up, like I said, in a pretty dark spot.
Okay.
I won't go too much into it.
All right. But you said that it's proven to be something that you're grateful for. That's kind of cool.
For sure.
Before we go into that, maybe we can just take a quick jaunt. We were talking earlier about your spiritual journey, and I wonder if you can just talk briefly about, what that's been like. How would you describe it? What are the highs and lows for you, or benefits, or even, your theory? Obviously, I'm a Christian. I love Jesus, but you were saying that you have, different thoughts, and you're not afraid to talk about them. So let's do it.
Let's get into it. And I fully support any standpoint or view you have or anybody has on religion in general.
Good, because we're about to get in a fight.
I think everybody like follows their own path. And what works for you, and I support that. But for me, I've explored quite a few different religions.
Oh.
Mormonism, I've explored Buddhism, I've explored Christianity. For a while there, I felt like there was no one. So I don't know if you can call it atheist, but I didn't really believe in anything. That was primarily during that dark time that I mentioned earlier. But recently, and like, I won't say recently, I guess for the past year or so, after exploring many different religions and talking to many people, I've done my fair share of church as well. Been to church, tried just about, probably not everything, but I've tried quite a bit. And what works for me, just personally, is a more spiritual standpoint on things. So I believe that there is something bigger, for sure. Mm-hmm. I don't think there's a chance that this is all possible without some sort of bigger plan or like external mediation or whatever you want to call it. But for me, I can't find a way to box up my thought process on religion or spirituality, into some nice packaged thing. Yeah. So, I don't.
It's pretty complicated. I mean, that's the whole thing about religion. It's a mystery.
Right.
And God is so infinite that we can't really understand him. Mm-hmm. I do have one question if you're up for it.
Yeah.
And we can delete it if you're not. That's okay with me.
All right, go ahead.
But what do you think about Jesus?
I've had a a long off and on relationship with what people call Jesus. How do I say this? like I said, I've tried many things. And I think that, like I said, some things work for some people, some things don't.
Yeah.
And personally for me, there was a time when I would have considered myself Christian,
Yeah.
and I followed God and I prayed, and it was actually quite a peaceful time for me,
Yeah.
and I found a lot of benefit in it. But, and this may be, I say I don't use this as an excuse. It may be not a side effect, a result of ADHD brain, which is hyperactive, in thinking so much about it that I kind of like, and I find this in many parts of my life as I pick things apart
Yeah.
very, very meticulously.
Mm-hmm.
And so I found what I believe to be holes in religion, I guess.
Okay.
And so for me, it doesn't click completely. And maybe I just don't know enough. I'm sure my view will change on it. I'm sure it will. But for now, I find that nothing that I've seen or the people that I've talked to or the rooms that I've been in have shown me a perspective that I'm willing to fully adopt. Like, if that makes sense.
Well, the key word is fully adopt, right? I
Right.
mean, that sort of faith that says I'm all in
Yeah.
is different than the faith where you're saying, "Hey God, I recognize like, there's a creator and, Jesus stands out among men. I think he's worthy to to love and give your life to." But I talk to people about Jesus all the time, like
Mhm.
evangelism, kind of my thing. And what I tell people is give Jesus a good try. Like, ask Jesus to come into your life and see what happens. Like,
Right.
ask him to take away your sin and be your savior and
Yeah.
see how things go. And I'm not saying see how the church behaves or your cousin who goes to church behaves or, the Pope behaves or whatever. I'm saying Jesus all by himself can prove himself to you in such profound ways. You watch my YouTube channel, bro. It is cool to see
Mhm.
some of the stories. I mean, I had one friend of mine who said he was sitting on his bed. His dad had left him a track. He read the track and it said basically, if you say this prayer, I got a plan for your life, turn your life around. And he literally said to himself, what have I got to lose? Like, if I say this prayer and it doesn't come true, I'm sitting here on my bed. What difference does it make?
Right.
He said the prayer and dramatically God changed his life. And
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying is give Jesus a chance to
For sure.
do what he'll do because he's awesome.
Yeah.
I told you I wouldn't do this, but
No, you're
I can't
good.
help myself.
I'm all for,
Yeah.
hearing what people think about it as well, because
Yeah.
I'm still in the journey. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sure just like you. Um, yeah, I think that like it's definitely a process, and I think that Christianity or whatever religion works for certain people, and again, I fully support
Yeah.
that, and I think that people can absolutely change their lives by following God, and I think that's great for them, and if that works for them, awesome.
All right. I'll stop pushing so hard. Hey, I wanted to stop this video and just say a lot of salespeople I know, they know there's another level. They know the product, they like the people, they really believe in what they sell. But when the pressure hits, a lot of salespeople, they lose their conviction, they lose their nerve, they hesitate on cold outreach, they lay down or even back off with a simple objection. They fail to confidently lead people towards a decision. I coach salespeople. Send me a quick text 509-999-3305. I'm in your corner. Let's get together. The next question I like to ask is how has adversity and trouble, even tragedy, created in you something that you would celebrate now, that you would say that's created in me some toughness, some mental grit, maybe an outcome that you hadn't expected, but like you wouldn't trade, the trouble and difficulty for,
Right.
the upside.
Uh, No, uh, I was going over this before the podcast actually, and I think it's a continuous thing. I really am a believer of every choice you make. Every choice you make affects where you land or the end result of your life or just the journey that you go through throughout your life. So obviously there's been a lot of adversity and trials and, you know, I think life is as a whole a trial that we get to go through.
That's pretty wise, bro.
Yeah.
Seriously, that's really good. I think that we humans need to understand that life will punch you in the face again and again unless you, to some degree or another, concede that, you know, it's
Yeah,
unmanageable. It's just
for
too
sure.
much. And that's why we need God. But
Right.
yeah, it's very grown up for your age.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
So, can you tell of a particular issue or a particular journey, or just in general, you have a theory that you wouldn't change anything?
I will say I would not change anything. I've had some pretty significant moments of regret and sorrow and self-pity that I went through for a long time, and that was definitely a contributor to my drinking phase, if you want to call it that. So I've been through all that, and I've been through the, not liking who I was and not liking where I'm at. Ever since I was a kid, I always knew that there was something waiting for me, or that I was meant for more than what I was doing. And it was always like, I don't know, just this thought, not in the back of my mind because it was very consistent. And it still is like that. And I think that's a big portion of the reason that I try to push myself every single day to, get the most out of it as I can. But I'd say there's been a lot of things that have really, shaped who I am, both good and bad. My parents being a pretty big one. But as far as building like resilience or, something along those lines, I'd say the biggest thing is probably addiction.
Yeah.
I went through a pretty rough time with alcohol, and yeah, just safe to say we do not mix.
Yeah.
So,
So you doing the steps? Are you doing AA? You going to meetings?
I don't personally, and that's just another hot take, I guess.
Let's avoid that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter.
I mean, I just personally, I don't see it. And again, same thing with religion. If it works for you, awesome.
Yeah.
But for me, I don't see a benefit in me going to a room and sharing war stories with other alcoholics. And I'm sure there is a benefit to it because I have been to quite a few, and I've found a way to get past the reminiscing kind of like mindset that I carried for a while, and tried to find a more I guess objective outside view of it in order to find key takeaways from people's stories instead of being like, oh yeah, I remember doing that, or yeah. So, but I found that while the takeaways that I did get when I was going were good, I just found myself thinking about the past too much, and that just, I mean, it doesn't sit with me, right?
Okay.
So,
all right.
that's my take on it. But
So, a question that has been on my list forever, but I rarely ask it. What are you currently seeking clarity or direction around? What kind of problem or opportunity do you feel most drawn to engage with or solve?
So many.
Yeah, I'm glad you think that.
Uh, Man, I don't know. I guess I'll start off just saying that I am like super passionate about, I mean, just life as a whole, the game as a whole. Like, I don't know. I think it's all incredible that we get to do what we get to do and like live this life. And, let me remind you, it wasn't always like that. It was pretty bad, but, I'm just like in love with life now.
That's
It's
awesome.
such a beautiful thing, and I'm really enjoying
Oh, that's so cool.
everything that I'm getting to do. And like, I used to think that I was having fun drinking and going out with friends that didn't really know me and I didn't really know them. And to me, that was fun for a while. And then I got sober and turned towards my goals instead of shying away from them, and like opened up so many doors and so many new feelings that I hadn't felt since I was, a kid staying at
That's
home. No
awesome.
responsibilities, playing sports.
That's so
Um,
cool.
yeah,
It's
so
funny when you talk about that. I think of Daniel G and Alex Hormozy and some of these
yeah.
guys that are just loving their life. I mean, they're
Yeah.
living their best life. They're in great shape. They
Hmm.
travel around. They do cool stuff.
Yeah.
They inspire people. They're really good-hearted. It's funny. I don't. There's parts of their personality and character that are like, man, not so much. But I mean, they're genuinely good people who they just help hundreds and thousands of people live
Right.
good lives. And I love their energy. I love their passion for living, and the fearlessness with which they go about
Yeah.
living is just it's so good.
Right.
All
Yeah.
right.
I heard this quote one time. I've actually heard it a few times, but it's like we only have one life, so why aren't we running towards our dreams like we're
Yeah,
on fire
that's good.
or something like that? But yeah, that kind of sums up how I feel about life now.
That's cool. That's cool. All right. I'm a coach. I love to coach salespeople. Most of the people that I have on the podcast have never actually had a paid professional
Mhm.
coach, but most of us have experienced mentors, people that notice us, people that paid attention to us, and for some reason or another, said, "Hey, man, let me invest in a little bit in your life."
Mhm.
I wonder if you have a story of someone like that in your life.
Somewhat, excuse me. Cut that out. Cut that out.
Yeah,
Someone that inspired me or put energy into me.
they noticed you, and they did something to impact your life. They paid attention. They saw you.
I mean, the biggest one is definitely my father.
Yeah, good.
Um, just I'd probably say, not probably, I'd definitely say he's like a role model to me.
Uh huh.
I'm super inspired by what he does. He's done well for himself.
Yeah, what's he do?
Uh, he is the director of finance and administration for the city of Spokane.
No kidding.
Yeah,
Oh, I'd love to have him on the podcast. Can
yeah.
he pull some strings? The city manager. Nice.
Yeah, he was the budget director and then got promoted, and then
Oh,
so
nice. What's his name?
Tim Dunovvent.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's so cool.
yeah. So
All right. Well, let's switch to your business. What do you do? What's a perfect client? What's a pain point that you solve? Um,
yeah, we'll start off, I guess, with what I do. So, let's see, how do I how do I put this?
Not so easy, is it?
Yeah, I know. And usually I'm just like on the fly. They're like, "Do you do this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, of course. I do that. I do whatever you want."
Well, you're in the marketing space, right? You help
Yeah.
companies market their products to potential clients.
Right. And like we were talking about earlier, I try not to enclose possibility when working with a client.
Yeah.
So,
Enclosed. What do you mean by that?
like, I try not to set boundaries because, I'm a firm believer in like anything that you want to create, we can create.
Yeah.
Whether it's with me or I refer you to somebody else, my objective is to be, whether it's the first, the second, the third, to be a spot in your journey where you can express everything that you want to see out of your business. So come to me with really anything you want to see. And if there's some way I can help you, whether you're paying me or not, then I'm going to try and find a way to help you, put you in touch with somebody, give you some advice, tell you where to look, So, but if we're talking about what I specifically do, yeah, I have a big focus on marketing. So running ads, SEO optimization, SMS, social media ads. Yeah, a lot of, um, oh man, I fucking
You build
forgot the
websites. You
word.
do all kinds of marketing
Yeah,
strategies.
yeah.
Okay.
Like I said, pretty much anything that you'd like to see out of your business, you tell me, and I will line out what I believe makes sense for you.
Okay.
And then,
What's the pain that most people you help are feeling?
um, I'd say this is I guess a hot label to put on this, but not, I don't want to say inadequacy. um, I guess just a desire to see more from their business, to want more from themselves,
Yeah.
to want more for their employees if they have employees, um, and that's essentially that's what I'm trying to do, is be somebody you can come to and tell me where you're at with your business, what you do or don't like about it, what you'd like to see improve, um, and then give you some options. Marketing's like a big question game. So, you're trying to figure out the questions people are asking so that you can answer it for them. And I'm trying to do the same for you so that we can answer both your questions and your customers' questions as well. So yeah, I'd say one of the biggest points that we try and hit on is making sure that, first of all, you see the possibilities in your business. I mean, you obviously somewhat do if you're reaching out to me. Then you see, a bigger picture, or the next goal, or the next forgot the word. Yeah, so if you're coming to me, obviously you see more for your business, and we're there to try and help assist you to get there.
Okay. Who's a perfect client for you? Who do you wish could see this and would like, dude, I totally want to talk to this kid?
Yeah, I'd say really anybody.
You can't say anybody.
As
If I ask you for a
you
niche
know,
or perfect client, you gotta narrow something.
um,
Let's just imagine that you have a
Yeah,
perfect
okay.
client. What would he look like? Or she? Maybe you want to work just with women.
um,
Solopreneurs.
A perfect client. I'd say somebody who has, let's see. I'll say the most fun clients are the ones who haven't started anything yet.
No kidding.
Yeah,
They're still in
for
the
sure.
planning stage.
For sure.
How cool is that? Yeah.
Those are the ones that I enjoy the most because they're undeveloped. They're like looking for guidance in almost every area, so I get the opportunity to like share my story or offer a different perspective or whatever it is.
Huh.
I
Interesting.
really feel like that's the place I can help the most, and then being able to see them go from nothing essentially
Right.
to what I hope is exactly what they want to see or more than they could imagine.
Yeah. That's so cool.
So that's the most fun. The perfect client, I would have to say, is about maybe 10 to 25% into their business. So they've got a lot of their documentation set up.
Mm-hmm.
They've got maybe 1 to 2 employees.
No.
And they're looking to, maybe they got into the business. I don't want to say before you were ready, because I really think if you want to do something, jump into it and find out.
Yeah.
Because, that's exactly what I did. Yeah, and that was the best choice I ever made. But yeah, someone who is just getting started, has most of the background stuff all put together. They know, they're pretty confident on their voice and their value proposition, and like they know what they bring to the table. They just don't know how to tell people what that is.
Okay.
So I think that's the perfect client, is when you haven't really reached out to people. Your business is doing fairly well. You're bringing in enough profit where you should have you should have a website. You should have social media. You should have, Google SEO and all these outreach campaigns going, but maybe you haven't started it yet. You don't feel like you have the money for it, and being able to come to them and say, what's your budget? What do you think? Where do you want to see yourself in a set period of time, and how can I help you achieve that?
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what's the best way for someone to get a hold of you? We're going to put a little banner here with your name and maybe a phone number, an email, website. What's the best way for someone to get a hold of you if they're like, dude, I want this guy on my team?
Yeah. I'd say the best option is going to be phone number.
Okay.
So I have a work phone number. I can say it on here.
Say it on here, man.
Yeah, so my work number is going to be 509-309-4355.
Nice.
If you guys want to get in touch with me or are interested in anything that I spoke about at all, or just want to like run a problem by me and see what I have to think about it, I'd love to share and help in any way I can.
Nice.
Even if I don't make money on it, I'm all for helping people improve their lives and like,
Nice.
show them that it's not it's not too late. It's always the right time to do something.
Good.
So,
All right. Jaden, how do you say it?
It's French. It's Dunovvent.
Dunovvent.
But I say Dunovvent.
Dunovvent.
It's easier.
All right. I'm Alec Gonzalez, coaching the Red Line. I coach salespeople, business owners, and pastors. If you know someone that would like to come on the podcast, have them give me a call, 509-999-3305. If you like the video, would you push the like button? And if you haven't subscribed, subscribe to the channel. Hope you're doing well, and we'll talk next time. Thanks.